It is great to be in Las Vegas again. Who's ready to vote in this election? Well, I see we've got a big sign up here with some really good advice. Some states are starting to vote. In fact, early voting began in Ohio today, and people started lining up last night. They couldn't wait. They couldn't wait to cast their ballots, and I think we could see a record turnout in this election. I want to thank Tracee Ellis Ross, an amazing actress, and I'm so proud to have her support. You know, there are so many important elections up and down the ballot, and I want to say a special word about Catherine Cortez Masto. She was a great attorney general for this state, and she will be a terrific senator. We need more leaders like her who will fight for working families, who will stand up to Donald Trump's bullying and bigotry. So let's send Catherine to Washington to support everything that we're going to be fighting for together. And while we're at it, let's send Dina Titus back to Washington. And please, let's elect Jackie Rosen and Ruben Kihuen. Now, I am not exaggerating when I say that your vote could make the difference in all of these races. Now, people always during elections tell you this is the most important election, and there's always something important about every election, but I don't think we've ever had an election more important for our country, for our values, for our future than this one. And yesterday I was in Florida with Al Gore, and as Al said, take it from him, your vote really, really counts. Remember what happened. Now, I had the best time campaigning here when I was here for the caucus, and I want to thank everybody who has worked for me, and I want to thank everybody who worked for my friend Bernie Sanders. I'm very proud that from the beginning, Senator Sanders and we ran a campaign focused on ideas and issues, not insults. We care about bringing people together, and we care about people respecting each other, having each other's backs, and then working to solve our problems. And that's what I'm going to do. Look, I know that this has been, at times, a really negative race coming from the other side. I've done my best to stay above that, to stay focused on what really, really matters. Any of you see that last debate? Well, if you watch the debate, you know that I paraphrased my friend, our First Lady, Michelle Obama, because it was very clear on that debate stage, one of us went low and one of us went high. And I want to repeat something I said that night, because I want you to hear it and tell your friends. Look, I want to be a president for all Americans, not some Americans. I want to be a president for people who agree with me and don't agree with me. I want to be a president for Democrats, Republicans, and independents. I want to be a president who brings our country together and tries to heal all these divides that are being set up between different Americans. And I appreciate everybody who is now focused on this election trying to figure out how to vote. And so many Republican leaders and traditionally Republican-leaning newspapers have crossed the aisle to support me. And that means a great deal to me. Because, my friends, we've got to unite our country. Now, we're always going to have disagreements. There's no doubt about that. That's kind of in the DNA of being an American. But we got to get beyond those disagreements. We've got to be willing to roll up our sleeves and get to work with each other. And that means we have to be willing to listen to each other. And I know that probably some of you, maybe a lot of you, know somebody who's thinking about voting for Trump. It happens. I know that. My request is to stage an intervention. Because just about any issue, you want more jobs with rising incomes? You want to make sure we have a fairer economy? You want to make it possible for young people to afford to go to college and get out of debt? You want to make sure that we have quality, affordable health care? You want to make sure that unions are respected and we have collective bargaining? You want to make sure that we protect a woman's right to choose and marriage equality? You want to make sure we're respected in the world and we're strong and we're steady in our leadership? Well, I think the choice is pretty clear. Because what I've tried to do in this campaign is what I've tried to do my entire life of public service, figuring out how we can help each other. And it's important to me to stay positive and stay confident and stay optimistic, because that's how I feel about America. Now, look, I know Donald Trump has taken a very different tone. We've heard it in both debates. And his campaign has said today that he's going to, and I quote, run a scorched earth strategy, whatever that means. That's how desperate they are. That's all they have left, pure negativity. And we can't let that represent our country. I got to tell you, I don't care what he says about me. I care what he says about you and all the other people in this country. Because we now know, we've heard for months what he thinks about people, how he treats people. You know, this latest incident about, how he treats women. Well, he's doubled down. He doubled down on his excuse that it's just locker room talk. And I got to tell you, after he said that in the last debate, the most amazing thing happened. Athletes and coaches started speaking out. From the NBA, from Major League Baseball, from the NFL, they're coming forward, and you know what they're saying? Hey, not in our locker rooms. That's not what happens. But he's not just insulted women. He's an equal opportunity insulter. He's insulted everybody. He insulted a distinguished federal judge who was born in Indiana. And he said, well, he couldn't be trusted to be a judge because his parents came from Mexico. He's targeted immigrants, African Americans, Latinos, people with disabilities. He's targeted POWs and Muslims. He's also targeted our military. He's called our military a disaster. Now, how can you be the commander-in-chief if you don't respect the men and women who serve in the United States military? I think he has shown us who he is. Now, the question for all of us is who we are, right? What are we going to do to show that America is better than this, that we're going to work together? Now, I believe you deserve something to vote for, not just something to vote against. And that starts with the economy. Throughout this campaign, I have been very clear. I'm going to put into place strategies to create more jobs and get incomes rising for hardworking people. We're going to have jobs in infrastructure, our roads, our bridges, our tunnels, our ports, our airports, our water systems. We're going to have jobs in advanced manufacturing, in technology and innovation. We're going to have clean, renewable energy jobs, something that Nevada is leading the way in. And we're going to not only grow the economy, and look, I think we have some ideas about how to do this. Those of you old enough to remember, which is not everybody, but a lot of us, might remember during the 1990s, we had 23 million new jobs and incomes went up for every person in America. Now, I've thought a lot about why Donald Trump and I have such a different view about the economy, and I think part of it is we have different experiences. You know, you just have to recognize that you're affected by, shaped by your experiences. And look, he grew up the son of a millionaire. When he started his business, he borrowed nearly $15 million from his father. So it's not surprising that now he wants to give all the benefits to the people on the top, because that's how he was raised to think. Now, my grandfather was a factory worker, and my dad was a small businessman who worked really hard. So I had a different experience. My dad worked hard to give us a solid middle-class life. That's what I want to give to every single person willing to work for it. It's why I believe the economy should work for everyone, not just those at the top. I started a long time ago fighting for kids and families, and I've always been focused on what I call kitchen table issues, like, you know, how are we going to pay for child care? How are you going to pay for prescription drugs? How are you going to save money for college? The kinds of things that people have talked to me about across America. And you compare what I am proposing, which fits right into what we know can work, investing in you, not giving more benefits to the top 1%, who frankly have already gotten enough benefits from this economy. And then what did we learn in that debate? Well, finally, Donald Trump admitted he hasn't paid a penny in federal income tax for years. Now, we don't know all the details because he's the first person to run for president who won't release his tax returns. Everybody else for like more than 40 years has released their tax returns. My husband and I have 40 years of tax returns on the web if you want to look at them. They're not very interesting, but you can look at them. But not Donald Trump. He won't tell us. But here's what we did find out when just 3 pages were disclosed. He apparently lost $1 billion in a single year on bad investments and failing casinos. Now, Las Vegas, you know something about this. I don't know how you can lose $1 billion running a casino. His supporters said, well, it just showed what a genius he was, and I guess you'd have to be some kind of genius to lose $1 billion in a year. But what was most striking to me is that he said it was smart. It was smart to pay no taxes. Now, that makes all the rest of us dumb, right? And on that debate stage, he said, well, everybody does it. Warren Buffett does it. Well, he picked on the wrong guy. Warren Buffett is a real billionaire, right? So Buffett put out a statement and he said, I have paid income taxes for 72 years, every single year. And I've talked to Warren Buffett, and he says, look, I want to change the tax system so somebody like me actually pays more because he wants to support our country. Donald Trump has given zero to our military, zero to our vets, zero to education and health care. It takes a lot of gall to criticize a country you won't lift a finger to support. You won't do anything to provide your fair share of. Now, look, he's been doing this for years. It's not just losing $1 billion. He has stiffed so many contractors and workers. It started in Atlantic City, and I've met people, painters and plumbers and dishwashers, glass installers, marble installers. He even stiffed the man that he bought the pianos for one of his casinos. But he did the same thing here in Las Vegas. He has a history of asking somebody to provide a good or a service and then not paying them. Not because he couldn't, but because he wouldn't. And you know what? That is not the way America works. If you make a contract with somebody and the other side fulfills that contract, you should pay. And what happened to all these small businesses that he stiffed after he said he wasn't going to pay them? He said, well, go ahead and sue me. Well, who can afford to sue somebody who employs hundreds of lawyers to prevent people from being paid? It's wrong. It's just absolutely wrong. And so what we're going to do is make the biggest investment in new jobs since World War II. I think there's a lot of good work to be done in America. I want us also to be the clean energy superpower of the 21st century. And then I think it's really important we do two big things in education. First, I happen to believe we made a mistake years ago when we took vocational education out of high schools. Now, it needed to be upgraded, but we need technical education in high school because I want people who have different talents and different interests to get the skills they deserve to have, to get the good jobs that are going to be available in our country in the future. And that includes in community colleges. I want high schools, community colleges, businesses, and unions to work together to give young people a really good start. I want more apprenticeship programs like the ones that unions run to be available for more people. If you look at job projections for the next 10 years, a lot of those jobs are going to require skilled tradespeople. And I want you and you and you, if you're of an interest in that, to join the carpenters, to join others who are doing the hard work of building America. And then for people who want to go to college, here's what we're going to do. We are going to make it possible for you to go to a 4-year public college or university in this state or any state, tuition free. If your family makes less than $125,000 a year, which is the vast majority of families, if you make more, we're going to let you go debt-free. So you're going to pay what you can afford. Some people can afford it all. Some people can afford some of it. But we don't want more young people falling into debt. This is a big drag on too many people. So make college affordable, and then we're going to help you repay your debt, starting by refinancing it, getting the interest rates down, helping you pay it back as a percentage of your income. This is going to save the vast majority of families in America thousands of dollars. And if you're interested, and I know there are a lot of people in this audience who have this on the horizon or already have the debt, you can actually go to HillaryClinton.com/calculator to figure out how much your family will save under my plan. I want you to understand what I want to do so you can help me get it done when we go to the Congress. And we're going to help more small businesses like my father's, because Small business creates most of the jobs in America, 2/3 of the new jobs. And then I want to make the economy fairer. So let's start by raising the national minimum wage so people who work full-time are not in poverty. Let's make sure we expand Social Security to help low-wage workers and widowed women who are often at the very bottom of the income scale not fall into poverty if all they've got is Social Security. Let's be sure that we pass comprehensive immigration reform. I have met so many impressive dreamers here in Las Vegas. I've met dreamers who want to start businesses, dreamers who want to go to medical school or law school, dreamers who have big dreams, and by following their dreams, they will contribute to our economy. So it's time to help them have a chance to get out of the shadows and have the opportunity for the future that is good for them and good for the rest of us. And then don't you think it is finally time to guarantee equal pay for women's work? I gotta say, this is not a women's issue. This is a family issue. It's an economic issue. If you have a wife, a mother, a daughter, or a sister who's working, it's your issue. And every time I talk about these concerns, fighting for equal pay, fighting for affordable child care or paid family leave, you know, Donald Trump says, well, there she goes. She's playing the woman's card. Well, fighting for that is playing the woman's card. Then you know what I say? Deal me in. The other thing we're going to do is encourage more companies to share profits with their workers. Now, this is a big deal because usually if they share profits at all, it only goes to the top. Now, another real billionaire who's endorsed me, Mark Cuban. One of the reasons I was proud to have his endorsement is he always has shared the profits with the people who work for him. And when he sold his first company, he shared those profits, and 300 of his workers, from executives to secretaries, made themselves millionaires because he understood who had made him successful. I want to reward businesses that are going to reward their employees. And we're going to make that one of the pillars in our fairness agenda. Now, we're also going to go after companies that are not willing to play by the rules. There are still too many who are fighting to keep their profits and their privileges, so we're going to keep the tough rules on Wall Street. Donald wants to get rid of them. I want to make sure they work so Wall Street never wrecks Main Street again. We are going after companies like those that engaged in predatory practices that led to a lot of the foreclosures right here in Las Vegas during the Great Recession. Donald Trump actually was rooting. He was rooting for the Great Recession because he said he could go in and make a lot of money buying people's homes. I don't know how you look in the mirror feeling like that. I don't understand how you can root for people to be miserable. Well, we're going to make sure that doesn't happen again. And I'm going to impose even tougher rules. Now, when companies try to outsource jobs, we're going to make them give back any tax breaks they ever got from any level of government. And if they try to leave our country without paying their fair share of taxes, we're going to slap an exit tax on them because I'm tired of them picking up and leaving and taking jobs with them. I think it's important that we do everything we can to make sure that our healthcare system works and that families, middle class and working families, have the resources they need to take care of their kids. That's why I have said we need to double the child tax credit. It currently gives middle-class families $1,000 per child. I want to double that because I know it's expensive. It's expensive to take care of little kids, and you ought to have some help. And this will lift families out of poverty, and it will prevent other families from going into poverty in the first place. I am all for people working. I am a person who grew up with a strong work ethic from my parents. I want people working. But we got to make sure that the work they do is rewarded enough that they can get ahead and take care of their kids. That's how it's supposed to start. And that's what we have to make happen here in America. Now, there's something you all can do in order for us to be able to work on and accomplish everything I've said. And, you know, you can go to my website. If there's an issue you're concerned about, it's probably already on there. Tim Kaine and I did a book together called Stronger Together to make sure you knew what our agenda was. I see one waving there in the audience. Because I have this old-fashioned idea. I don't want to just spout words and try to create rhetoric. I want you to know what I will try to do as your president because I need your help and your partnership. If we're going to raise incomes, then we got to make sure we've got people in Congress who are going to help us raise incomes. And that's why I'm asking you not only to support me in this election, but Catherine and Dina and Jackie and Ruben, all of us who are on the ballot. And think about any issue you care about and imagine it being on the ballot, because in effect it is. There's never been an election where there's such a difference between the two candidates. I have to tell you, with prior Republican nominees, I might have had disagreements with policies or principles, but I never questioned any of their fitness to serve. Donald Trump is different. He is unqualified and unfit to be president and commander-in-chief. So that is why it's so important that all of you register to vote. The last day, you know, the protesters, they've had a bad couple of weeks, so I understand why they're upset. But remember, this Tuesday, October 18th, is the last day you can register to vote here in Nevada. So please register to vote. Find out if you're registered correctly. You can go to a website called iwillvote.com. Because if you believe in any of the issues that we care about and that we're working on and the kind of country we can make together, I need you to do everything you can between now and November 8th to register and then to turn out and vote, to make sure your friends, your neighbors, your colleagues are registered to vote. Tell them to go to iwillvote.com and make sure that we get everybody to turn out. You know, a little bit ago I said if you've got friends who are thinking about voting for Trump, you know, stage an intervention. Well, I think it is a serious concern because friends don't let friends vote for Trump. And you know, I really have thought a lot about our country, and I happen to think America is already great, but we have to do our work to make sure it stays great and gets even greater. And I know how important it is that we stay focused on the concerns that people have, not on the demagoguery and the distraction, but what is it we're going to do together? And like I said, I really believe that we need to come together as a country. And I am committed to doing everything I can every single day, if I'm so fortunate enough to be in the White House, to help all of you to get as far as your hard work and your talents will take you. Because we want to prove to the world something that I believe in, that we are the place of freedom and opportunity, of justice, of equality, the best place in the entire world to live and to work, to raise a family. We should never take that for granted by 1 second. It is our obligation as Americans to dig deep in doing whatever we can to build the kind of future that we want for ourselves and our children. I now have 2 grandchildren, and it is the joy of my life. But I'll tell you this, I don't want just my grandchildren to succeed. I want everybody's children to succeed. And I want to be sure that when they grow up, our country is still the engine of opportunity with the values that made us great in the first place, and that the world is peaceful and prosperous so that they can make the choices that they wish to make to chart their own futures. That's what we believe in here in America, and that is exactly what is on the ballot this election. So my friends, come join me in helping to build a future that will give us all the chance to have the kind of potential that we deserve to have. Thank you, and God bless you.